Don't overreact, but I'm sharing a hotel room with my coworker tonight. No reason to waste money on 2 rooms. It's just practical. That's the exact text my girlfriend sent. She thought I'd chase her. I packed her entire life instead. Hey Reddit, so I never thought I'd be the type to post on here, but the past few weeks have been a ride. Long story short, I found myself in a situation with my girlfriend that went from a single text message to completely changing my life. I handled it in a way most people probably wouldn't expect. And honestly, it ended up being the most freeing thing I've ever done. Thought I'd share it here because if nothing else, it might give a few of you a laugh or maybe a bit of perspective. So I, 28 male, work as a construction manager. It's a solid job, nothing glamorous, but I'm good at it and it pays well. I've always been the type that keeps things organized and moving, whether it's projects at work or my own life. I'd been dating my girlfriend, let's call her Kendra, 27 female. We met through friends, started off great like most relationships do, and eventually she slid into living at my place. And when I say slid in, I mean little by little. A toothbrush left behind here, a drawer of clothes there. Then suddenly half the closet was hers. The lease, though, still in my name. Rent, my responsibility. Bills, all me. The only time she'd ever pull out her wallet was when she wanted to look generous buying groceries. At first, I let it slide because I thought, okay, that's what couples do. You share space, you compromise. But as time went on, it was obvious she liked the benefits without the responsibility. My place slowly turned into her personal crash pad, and she acted like she had some kind of squatter's rights without ever signing her name on a single piece of paper. That was Kendra in a nutshell. She liked to push boundaries just to see if I'd fold. I noticed it in the small things, her pretending not to see dishes piling up, or acting like her work stress excused snapping at me. But the big test came one Thursday night. I was in the kitchen making pasta. Nothing fancy, just something quick because I'd had a long day on site. My phone buzzed. It was Kendra. The message said, "Don't overreact, but I'm sharing a hotel room with my coworker tonight. No reason to waste money on 2 rooms. It's just practical." I swear, I read it 3 times because I thought maybe I was misreading it. Nope, that's exactly what she sent. Now, let me pause here. Any guy reading this knows the usual reaction. Most dudes in that situation would blow up her phone. First the "what the hell?", then the calls, then the desperate "tell me you're joking" stuff, maybe even driving down to the hotel like a madman. And that's what she was counting on. I could practically see her sitting there, phone in hand, waiting for me to lose it. She probably rehearsed her excuses already. "Oh, it's nothing. You're just insecure. Why don't you trust me?" It was a setup. The kind of move where no matter how you react, she twists it back on you. But here's the thing. She didn't understand who she was dealing with. Because when I read that text, I didn't feel jealousy. I didn't feel heartbreak. What I felt was clarity. Don't overreact. That part pissed me off more than anything. Like she was planting the idea that I'd be crazy if I had a problem with it. Gaslighting 101. Then the just to save money excuse. Right, because a company can budget for travel, but somehow not enough for separate rooms. And the "it's just practical" part. If you ever have to write that, it means it's not. I knew right then it was a lie. And honestly, it didn't matter if they were doing anything or not. Sharing a hotel room with some guy from work is a choice. It was her way of saying she didn't respect me, didn't respect the relationship, and was testing me to see how much she could get away with. What she expected was anger. What she got was the exact opposite. I typed back, "Perfect. Sounds like you won't be needing my place anymore." That was it. One sentence. No paragraphs, no emojis, no begging. Just calm, final. And the second I hit send, I swear I felt lighter. Like she thought she'd trapped me in this little game, but I just ended it in one move. She thought she was in control, but she'd basically sent me her moving notice without realizing it. I didn't need to argue with her. I didn't need to explain. Because let's be real, if your girlfriend is texting you that she's sharing a hotel room with a coworker, she's already checked out. That's not someone who respects you. That's someone who's looking for loopholes. And I wasn't about to waste my night pacing around, waiting for her to come home with excuses. Nope. That text told me everything I needed to know. So I turned off the oven, pushed the garlic bread aside, and leaned against the counter for a minute. I wasn't sad. I wasn't even mad. I was calm, focused. This wasn't heartbreak. It was house cleaning. I thought about all the stuff she had in my place, the clothes, the shoes, the endless bottles of makeup, her favorite mug she never cleaned. It was everywhere. She had taken over my apartment piece by piece, and in that moment, I decided I was taking it all back. The funny thing? She had no clue. She thought she had me wrapped, thought I'd beg or plead or go full detective. Instead, I was done playing. I went to bed that night knowing tomorrow was going to be chaos on her end. She'd call, she'd text, maybe even show up. But me? I already made my decision. She moved herself out the second she hit send on that message. And tomorrow, I was going to make sure she realized it. So the next morning, I woke up early. No alarm, no snooze button, just my brain firing on all cylinders. I went straight for the spare boxes I kept from when I moved in. Time to get to work. I dragged the first box into the bedroom, opened her side of the closet, and just stared at the mountain of clothes she'd managed to sneak into my place. It was insane. A year and a half together, and she had colonized half my apartment. That's when I grabbed my phone and called Marvin. Marvin's my younger brother by 2 years. He never sugarcoats anything, but the kind of guy you want in your corner when it's time to deal with BS. He picked up still groggy. Yo? You busy? I asked. Not really. Why? I'm moving someone out today. Pause. Then, wait. Who? Kendra. Another pause, then he broke into laughter. No way. She finally slipped up. I texted him the screenshot of her little hotel message. He called back instantly. Brother, BRO, she actually sent that? And you didn't dump her years ago? You're telling me you let Freeload Barbie live rent-free before this? I grinned. Better late than never. Bring tape. Marvin showed up 20 minutes later with coffee in one hand and duct tape in the other. He walked into the apartment, looked around at the stacked boxes I'd already started, and just shook his head. You're way nicer than me, he said. I'd have tossed this crap in garbage bags and left it on the curb. Yeah, but that's how you end up with people crying to the cops saying you ruined their stuff. Nah, everything's going in neat and tidy. No excuses. He picked up one of her jackets, held it to his chest, and mocked in a fake, high-pitched voice, Oh my god, Bobby! I can't believe you folded my things when you threw me out. You're so abusive. Then he tossed it in the box like a basketball. I shook my head, laughing. Just help me fold, clown. We started packing together. Marvin commented on everything he touched. Halfway through folding, her iPad lit up on the dresser, still signed into messages. Another text from Jake popped up about grabbing the room key. I'm not playing detective, but I'm not blind either. I opened the thread, scrolled, and screenshotted everything. Airdropped the shots to my phone and emailed them to myself. 30 seconds. Back to boxing. Her endless pairs of shoes. She owns more heels than she's got brain cells. The 10 bottles of perfume. Is she starting her own fragrance line or just trying to fumigate the building? The makeup bag. Bro, is this a Sephora or an apartment? Marvin kept ribbing me, though. Real talk, man. I can't believe you let her freeload for this long. You're out here paying rent, bills, everything, while she was playing house for free. Should have kicked her out a long time ago. He wasn't wrong, and I admitted it. Yeah, I know. I was too patient. Not anymore. By the time we were done with the closet and bathroom, the living room looked like a moving truck had exploded. 8 boxes, 2 suitcases, a giant bag of toiletries. Marvin stood in the middle of the room and whistled. You sure this was just one girl? Looks like you evicted a whole family. We both laughed, then started loading everything into my car. Marvin kept cracking jokes as he stacked boxes. You should leave a note on the boxes that says, rent overdue. When we were done, the car was packed full. I wiped my hands on my jeans, feeling weirdly accomplished. Like I'd just finished spring cleaning, except this spring cleaning came with free peace of mind. The drive to the hotel was quiet at first. Then Marvin started up again. You know she's going to lose her mind when she sees this, right? She's going to scream about how you're heartless, how you humiliated her. I smirked. Yeah, but she made her choice. I'm just helping her move in with it. He laughed so hard he almost choked. Helping her move in with it. Damn, that's cold. Love it. When we pulled into the hotel lot, Marvin stayed in the car. I'll guard the fort. Don't want to ruin the surprise reveal. Go drop off her welcome package. I wheeled everything inside on a luggage cart. The front desk clerk gave me that curious look. Checking in? Nope, I said calmly. Dropping off my girlfriend's belongings? She said she'd be staying here tonight. Name's Kendra. The clerk hesitated, so I showed him her reservation info on my phone along with my ID. After a quick check with the manager, they agreed to hold the boxes in luggage storage under her name. The clerk's eyebrows shot up, but he didn't argue. Probably wasn't the strangest thing he'd seen. Marvin cracked up the second I sat down. So what, she officially checked in? Congrats, you just did the fastest eviction in history. By the time we got back to my place, it was late evening. The apartment was quiet, clean, peaceful. Marvin dropped himself on the couch and said, Man, this place already feels better without her junk everywhere. He wasn't wrong. For the first time in years, the place actually looked like mine again. I leaned back, smiled, and thought, tomorrow her meltdown would begin, and I was more than ready for it. But first, I wanted to lock this thing down properly. Literally. Before I called the locksmith, I rang up the building manager just to cover myself. I explained what was going on, and he checked the records. Sure enough, Kendra's name wasn't anywhere. No lease, no rent history, nothing. He said flat out, she's a guest, not a tenant. We won't authorize her access without your say. That was all I needed to hear. With management backing me, I knew I could change the locks without looking over my shoulder. So I called a locksmith. Guy showed up that night around 10, toolbox in hand, looking half asleep but ready to work. He swapped out the locks, rekeyed everything, even reset the code on my keypad. Cost me $200. Worth every penny. Marvin leaned against the kitchen counter, sipping the coffee we brewed, watching the whole process like it was entertainment. You know, he said, most people call a locksmith because they lost their keys. You called one because you lost your patience. Yeah, I said. Better safe than sorry. Last thing I need is her waltzing in at midnight like she owns the place. He smirked. She's probably planning it right now, practicing her fake, shocked face in the mirror. While the locksmith finished up, I grabbed my laptop. If she was out, she was all the way out. Netflix? Logged in, scrolled to profiles, deleted hers, gone. Spotify? Removed her from the family plan? Prime? Access revoked? That emergency credit card she'd been using for random Starbucks orders and work lunches? Disabled. One by one, I cut her off. Marvin peeked over my shoulder. Damn, you're basically deleting her like an app. Next thing you're gonna uninstall her from the Wi-Fi. I shrugged. Already changed the password. He laughed so hard he almost spilled his coffee. By the time the locksmith left, everything was done. Locks secure, accounts reset, freeloading officially over. For the first time in months, my place actually felt like mine again. I heated up some leftovers and sat down with Marvin. We ate, flipped on the TV, and actually enjoyed ourselves. No drama, no tension, no tiptoeing around Kendra's moods. Just peace. Marvin stretched out on the couch, rubbing his stomach. Bro, I can't believe you lived like that. This is the most relaxed I've ever seen you, as I smirked. Yeah, well, better late than never. That night I slept like a rock. No interruptions, no late night nagging, no weird vibes. Just silence. And then came morning. At 6:15 a.m., my phone started buzzing. I ignored it. 30 seconds later, it buzzed again. And again. By the sixth call, I just flipped it on silent and rolled back over. When I finally checked it around 8, my screen looked like a crime scene. 37 missed calls, 20 text messages, 3 voicemails. The texts were wild. They came in stages, like a bad play. First, calm. Hey babe, where are you? Why is my stuff at the hotel front desk? This isn't funny. Answer me, please. Did you really pack everything? Just tell me this is a joke. Then, desperate. Open the door. I'm outside. Why did you change the locks? Please just let me in so we can talk. I don't have anywhere else to go. Don't do this. Finally, furious. You can't just throw me out. That's illegal. I'm serious. I'll call the cops if you don't let me in. You're going to regret this, I promise. Marvin sat next to me, scrolling through them, cracking up. She's speed-running the 5 stages of grief. What's next? Interpretive dance. I kept sipping my coffee, unbothered. Bro, he continued, this is comedy. She really went from babe please to I'll ruin your life in under 2 hours. That's Olympic-level delusion. I chuckled. Yeah, she really thinks threats are going to make me roll over. Finally, after scrolling through the whole mess, I sent one reply. You told me you were staying at a hotel. I made it permanent. Please stop disturbing my neighbors. That was it. No extra words, no insults, no explanations. Marvin leaned over my shoulder, read it, and grinned. Damn, that's colder than ice. She's going to lose her mind. I just shrugged, finished my coffee, and set the phone back down. Because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't playing her game anymore. By late morning, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Same name lighting up the screen over and over again, voicemail filling up with muffled sobs and angry rants. I ignored it for as long as I could, until finally I answered, just to see what kind of excuse she was going to throw at me. The second I picked up, her voice came screaming through the speaker. You seriously locked me out! Are you insane? It was one night. One night. For work. You're blowing this way out of proportion. I sat back and kept my tone even. One night in a hotel room with your coworker isn't work. That's a choice. If your company really needed you overnight, they'd pay for separate rooms. Don't try to sell me on the practical excuse. She didn't hesitate. You don't understand. I didn't want to. I had no choice. We had deadlines, it was late, and sharing made sense. You're supposed to trust me. You're supposed to fight for me instead of just giving up. Trust? I asked. Trust ended the second you typed out that message telling me not to overreact. You don't send that unless you know it's shady. If you respected me, you wouldn't play games like this. You moved out with that text, and I just made it permanent. She switched gears like she was reading from a script. Her voice dropped low, almost pitiful. Where am I supposed to go now? You can't just abandon me like this after everything. I don't have anywhere else to live. You're ruining my life over one tiny mistake. I almost laughed at how dramatic she was being. No, you ruined your own life when you picked him over me. That's on you, not me. That cracked her mask. She started sobbing, muttering between gasps that I'd regret this, that I was cruel, that I was heartless. Then she hung up on me. I stared at the phone for a second, then tossed it on the counter. She wanted me panicked and guilty, but all she got was silence. I thought maybe that would settle her down, but 30 minutes later, another call came in from a number I didn't recognize. I answered, thinking it might be work. But nope, it was her mom. Her voice was even louder than her daughter's. How dare you throw my daughter out like trash? After everything she gave you, you dump her things at some hotel like she's nothing. I kept my voice flat. Your daughter texted me she'd be staying with her coworker. I delivered her belongings to the place she picked. She's not on the lease. She never paid rent. She was a guest in my home, and guests don't get permanent rights. Her mom wasn't having it. You're legally obligated to give her notice. You can't just toss her out overnight. That's illegal. No, I'm not, I said. I'm legally obligated to tenants. She wasn't one. No lease, no rent, no bills. She was living off me and playing house. Guests don't get 30 days. She made a choice, and she can live with it. Yeah, her mom sputtered into the phone, throwing every insult she could think of at me. Cold, ungrateful, cruel, before hanging up in a huff. I set the phone down and couldn't help but shake my head. The entitlement didn't just stop with Kendra. It was a family thing. I figured maybe now I'd get a break, but this circus had one more act. An hour later, Jake, her coworker, called. His voice had that fake calm edge, like he was trying hard to act in control. Bro, that was messed up. Dropping her stuff off like that. You didn't have to do her dirty like that. I cut him off instantly. You know what's messed up? My girlfriend sharing a hotel room with you. How's your girlfriend handling it? Silence. Exactly, I said. And just so you know, her iPad lit up while I was packing, and I saved screenshots of the entire thread. Do you want me to forward them? That fake calm dropped in a second. His voice cracked. Don't do that. Please. Then don't call me again, I said, and hung up. I put the phone down, feeling oddly satisfied. I didn't have to raise my voice or argue. I didn't even need to get creative. Just holding a mirror up to them was enough to make them crumble. By mid-afternoon, I was finally settling into the silence when a heavy knock rattled the door. Not the kind of knock you ignore. I looked through the peephole, and there she was, arms folded tight, eyes red and angry, standing next to a uniformed police officer. She actually went through with it. She really called the cops on me. And just like that, the next round of her delusion was waiting right on my doorstep. I opened the door slowly, keeping my posture relaxed. Kendra was standing there with her arms crossed, face blotchy from crying, but twisted up with anger. Next to her was a police officer, notepad in hand, looking like he'd already been briefed on her version of events. Sir, the officer started, we got a call that you may have removed this woman from the residence without proper legal notice. Is that true? Before I could even answer, Kendra jumped in, pointing at me like I'd just robbed a bank. He locked me out. He threw all my things at a hotel. I live here, officer. My mail comes here, my clothes were here, and he changed the locks on me overnight. That's illegal eviction. The officer held up a hand to quiet her and looked back at me. Is what she's saying accurate? Did you change the locks and move her belongings? I nodded calmly. Yes, I changed the locks last night. And yes, I delivered her things to the hotel she told me she'd be staying at. I didn't throw them out. Everything was neatly packed and dropped off at the front desk. The officer raised an eyebrow. Do you have proof of her saying she was staying at a hotel? Without missing a beat, I pulled my phone from my pocket and opened the message. Right here. I held it up so he could read the words that started this whole thing. Don't overreact, but I'm sharing a hotel room with my coworker tonight. No reason to waste money on 2 rooms. It's just practical. The officer read it, glanced at Kendra, then back at me. All right. And is she listed on your lease? I shook my head. Nope, lease is in my name only. I grabbed the folder I'd pulled earlier, just in case this exact moment happened, and handed it to him. He flipped through the pages, saw my name, and no mention of hers anywhere. Has she ever paid rent or bills here? He asked, pen ready. Not a dime, I said. No rent, no utilities, no insurance. She's been living here as my guest. And I've got bank records to prove every payment came out of my account alone. The officer scribbled a few notes, then turned to her. Ma'am, is what he's saying about the lease and rent accurate? Kendra's voice cracked as she tried to twist it. I mean, technically I didn't pay rent, but I was still living here. That's common law tenancy. You can't just erase me because of one argument. The officer let out a slow sigh, flipping my lease papers shut. Look, this sounds like a civil matter, not something I can enforce. He's the only one on the lease, and you're not listed as a tenant. I'm not forcing him to let you back in tonight. If you believe you have rights here, you'll need to take it up through civil court or management. Her jaw dropped like she couldn't process it. So you're saying he can just kick me out? After everything I've done for him? That's not fair. I built a life here. The officer shrugged. It might not feel fair, but this is a civil matter. If you believe you have rights here, you'll need to take it up in court. I could see her eyes darting back and forth, looking for some angle, some loophole to cling to. Then she tried the wildest play yet. It was a test, she said suddenly, voice quivering. I just wanted to see if he loved me enough to fight for me. That's why I said I'd stay with my coworker. I wanted to see if he'd chase me. If he really cared, he wouldn't just let me go so easily. I actually laughed. Not loud, not mocking, just a small chuckle at the sheer stupidity of it. If you loved me, you wouldn't play games in the first place. You failed your own test. And for the record, I'm not a dog. I don't chase. I replace apostrophe. Her face froze. The officer looked like he was trying not to smirk. She stepped forward, eyes wide and voice desperate now. Replace me? With who? I kept my tone casual, like it was nothing. Already texted Tori. We're grabbing coffee tomorrow. Her jaw dropped. She stammered, You wouldn't dare. I would, I said. And I did. That was the breaking point. She let out a frustrated scream, turned on her heel, and stormed down the hallway muttering under her breath about how I'd ruined her life. The officer gave me one last nod, handed me back the lease papers and said, You're good here, sir. Have a nice day. Then he left, leaving her fuming in the parking lot. I closed the door, locked it, and leaned against it for a moment. The silence that followed was almost therapeutic. She could scream, cry, and threaten all she wanted, but the law was on my side, and she knew it now. I walked into the kitchen and looked at the coffee machine she always bragged about. She used to call it her machine, even though I bought it. She'd act like she was some kind of barista every time she made herself a cup, always reminding me how much she loved it. So I scooped in the grounds, filled it up, and made myself a fresh cup. The sound of it brewing filled the apartment, and the smell of coffee never felt so good. I poured it into my mug, took a slow sip, and smiled. She wanted me to fight for her. Instead, I brewed coffee with her favorite machine while she screamed into the void outside. That was my victory. Not yelling, not arguing, just calm, simple action. She thought she was testing me. What she didn't realize was that the test was already over, and she failed with flying colors. The next morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing nonstop again. But this time, it wasn't just her. Notifications were piling up from Facebook, Instagram, even text messages from mutual friends. When I finally opened the screen, I saw exactly why. Kendra had gone nuclear. She'd posted a long, emotional rant on Facebook. It started with her painting herself as the perfect girlfriend who had been betrayed by a cruel, cold-hearted man. According to her, I had thrown her out with no warning, changed the locks, and dumped her belongings at a random hotel like she was garbage. She ended it with, Don't ever trust men who act calm. They're the cruelest. And of course, her friends were already eating it up. Comment after comment of people calling me heartless, abusive, a narcissist. A few were even messaging me directly with insults, like they were white knighting for her. I sat on the edge of the bed, scrolling through it, sipping my coffee. Part of me was almost impressed. She had rewritten the entire story in her head overnight and sold it to an audience like she was auditioning for an award. I didn't respond. Not yet. By noon, the post had gained traction. More people piling on, more comments trashing me. She was loving the victim spotlight. She even updated her relationship status to single, with a broken heart emoji for good measure. That alone got her another round of sympathy. What she didn't expect was that I had one thing she couldn't talk her way around: her own words. So while she was busy collecting pity points, I opened her post, hit comment, and uploaded a single screenshot. Just one. The text she had sent me that started it all. Don't overreact, but I'm sharing a hotel room with my coworker tonight. No reason to waste money on 2 rooms. It's just practical. I didn't add commentary. I didn't insult her. Just the raw message, plain and simple. At first, it was a mess. Some people doubled down, saying the screenshot didn't prove anything. A few called me petty for airing it out, but then others started chiming in, people who actually knew her. One guy mentioned she'd pulled the same victim routine in her last relationship. Another girl flat out said, "This is exactly what she did to my cousin." Little by little, the tide turned, and the sympathy train derailed fast. By mid-afternoon, she deleted the entire post, but deleting it didn't erase the damage. Screenshots were already floating around, and people had seen both sides. She'd exposed herself without realizing it. That should have been the end of it, but she wasn't done. Later that evening, I got a string of emails from my bank, my Netflix, even my email account, all password reset requested. It was obvious who was behind it. She was scrambling, desperate to claw her way back into my life through my accounts. I called her immediately. She picked up on the second ring, her voice sharp. "Stop blocking me out of everything!" "You don't live here," I said. "You don't get access anymore. You had free rent, free accounts, free insurance, free everything, and you blew it. I don't owe you anything except goodbye." Her voice cracked into a scream. "You can't just erase me like this." But that's exactly what I was doing. The next day, karma did the heavy lifting for me. Jake's girlfriend messaged me on Instagram. "Hey, so I saw that screenshot you posted." I had no idea Kendra and Jake were that close. He told me it was just late work nights. Can you tell me the truth? I didn't go overboard. I just sent her a couple more receipts, including the chat logs where they planned their work trip. She read them, thanked me, and by the end of the night, Jake's relationship was over too. That story spread fast. Word got around their office, co-workers whispered, and Kendra's reputation tanked almost overnight. She wasn't the victim girlfriend anymore. She was the girl who moved in with her co-worker during a business trip and then lied about it online. Her boss didn't take it lightly either. He wasn't thrilled about his employees turning the company's name into gossip fodder. Within a week, she was reassigned to a smaller client account. No more big projects, no more spotlight. Basically demoted without the official title. I heard about it from someone we both knew who worked in the same field. "Yeah, she's been moved down the ladder. Management doesn't trust her anymore." And just like that, the house of cards she'd built came crashing down. Meanwhile, my life had never been quieter. No freeloading, no lies, no constant drama. Just me, my apartment, my coffee, and the knowledge that I'd handled it all without shouting or chasing. She tried to play the victim. She tried to play hacker. She even tried to play martyr. But the truth has a way of cutting through the noise, and her own words had buried her deeper than I ever could. For the first time in a long time, I actually felt free. The days that followed were quiet in a way I hadn't realized I'd been missing. No screaming matches, no passive-aggressive texts, no chaos. I went to work, came home, cooked my own meals, and enjoyed my own space. My apartment finally looked like mine, not a showroom for someone else's clutter. I could actually breathe. But of course, peace never lasts long when someone like Kendra thinks she's still the main character. About a week later, I came home from work to find her sitting on the floor outside my apartment door. She had her legs crossed, hair messy, eyes red from crying, and this expression like she'd been through hell. The second she saw me, she stood up fast, brushing herself off like nothing was wrong. "I just want to talk," she said, voice soft, almost rehearsed. "No fighting, no yelling, just talk." I didn't answer right away. I unlocked my door and stood in the doorway, blocking her from stepping inside. "Say what you need to say then." She clasped her hands together like she was about to deliver a heartfelt speech. "I've been thinking a lot. About us. About everything. I realize I messed up. The hotel thing. It wasn't what it looked like. I swear. I panicked, I was stressed, and I made a stupid choice. But I love you. I've always loved you. I don't want to throw away what we had over one mistake." She paused, looking at me like she expected me to melt on the spot. I just stared back. Calm. Silent. Her smile twitched when she realized I wasn't jumping in. She tried again, more desperate. "Look, I know I took advantage sometimes. Maybe I leaned on you too much. But that's what couples do, right? We support each other. I can do better. I'll pay rent. I'll clean up more. Whatever you want. Just don't give up on me. We can fix this." There it was. The fix everything overnight pitch. Like years of freeloading, lying, and manipulation could be erased with a few sweet promises. You don't get it, I said finally. This isn't about one mistake. It's about a pattern. You wanted to see how far you could push before I snapped. And you found out. Her face tightened. So you're really not going to forgive me? After everything I gave you? I raised an eyebrow. What exactly did you give me? That's when the mask cracked. Her voice sharpened, the sweetness gone. I gave you my time. I made you look good. I stood by you. I put up with your boring job and your controlling ways. And now you're acting like some big man because you packed boxes and changed a lock? Please. You're a pathetic excuse of a man. No wonder you couldn't keep me interested. There it was. The real Kendra. I didn't even flinch. If I'm so pathetic, then why are you standing outside my door begging me to take you back? She froze for a second. Then her voice rose into a near scream. You ruined my life. Do you get that? You embarrassed me in front of everyone. You made me look like a fool. My friends think I'm a liar. My boss doesn't trust me anymore. Jake's girlfriend dumped him because of you. This is all your fault. No, I said evenly. It's yours. Every bit of it. You wrote that text. You made those choices. You played those games. I didn't ruin your life. You did. All I did was stop letting you ruin mine. She glared at me, breathing heavy, like she was ready to explode. But there was nothing left to say. She turned, muttering curses under her breath, and stormed down the hallway. I closed the door behind her, and that was the last time she ever tried to come back. Months passed. Life moved forward. I started seeing Tori, the girl I'd mentioned to her before. Nothing serious at first, just casual dinners and coffee. But what struck me was how easy it was. No drama, no tests, no manipulative games. She had her own place, her own job, her own life. Being around her made me realize just how much weight I'd been carrying with Kendra. For once, I didn't feel drained after spending time with someone. Then, one evening, I ran into Kendra by accident. I was at the grocery store, standing in line with a few things, when I heard a familiar voice behind me. Hey, remember me? I turned and there she was. Same face, but she looked worn, tired, like the months had aged her years. There were dark circles under her eyes, her hair pulled back in a way that screamed she hadn't bothered that morning. She forced a smile like we were old friends bumping into each other. Yeah, I said. I remember. She tried small talk, asked how I'd been, hinted at maybe catching up sometime. It was awkward, desperate, and transparent. I shook my head. I remember who you used to be, not who you became. I don't look back. Her eyes watered instantly, but I didn't wait for her to reply. I grabbed my bag of groceries, walked out the door, and didn't look back. On the drive home, I realized something important. The most powerful move isn't begging, yelling, or trying to prove yourself. It's calm action. It's showing someone their chaos has no place in your life anymore. She expected me to fight, to plead, to chase. Instead, I packed her bags, delivered them to the very hotel she chose, and closed the door forever. That was the final test. And she failed it every time. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.